Hey, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast, where you'll learn how to host a high-converting virtual summit that leads to your biggest signature offer launch yet. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and I have a special announcement and something a little different for you today. Over the past couple weeks, I have been using the Summit Host Hangout podcast to talk a little bit more about challenges. 3 episodes ago, I shared that challenges are one of the top ways alongside summits that I've grown and sustained my business over the years. 2 episodes ago, I talked about how virtual summits and challenges compare and why I won't stop doing either one anytime soon. And last week, you heard about why I don't rely on just one marketing strategy, why I don't rely on just summits, and why I don't think you should rely on any one marketing strategy either. And all of that was leading to today's announcement of our new Challenges That Make Bank program. And I can't even tell you how excited I am about this. I have been thinking of releasing a program about challenges for years now. But of course, our summit-related programs had to take priority. Like it was early 2023, I started taking action on this course. I got the copy written for it. I mapped out the entire program and then totally froze. I was so worried about what people would think if I, the summit person, released a program about challenges. Like everybody gasps, right? And it took me more than 6 months to realize that if someone couldn't see how well these strategies fit together and they wanted to have a problem with that, there's just not a whole lot I could do other than like release the series of episodes I just did and kind of continue talking about that. So here we are, finally, and I'm so excited to get this program in your hands. In this episode, I want to, of course, tell you a little about the program, like who it's a good fit for, where to go to learn more, but I also want to make it fun, right? So I'm going to share a little bit more of my journey around creating it. I will share my goals behind it, like the numeric goals, and what it's been like creating my first big program from scratch after 4 years of really having one primary program to grow and maintain and, evolve another offer from. It's a totally different beast. I forgot what that was like. So first, though, let's talk about what is Challenges That Make Bank. So this is a program that teaches you a simple and repeatable framework for creating a signature challenge that will create genuine buzz, excitement, and sales of your signature offer in 30 days if you want. My main goal with this is to give you a strategy to generate 5 figures in revenue between your summits. So I still want you hosting summits, okay? If you've listened to the last few episodes, you know that a challenge does not do a lot of the things that a summit does. It's not going to bring in the number of leads you need for a 5-figure launch if you don't already have the leads. But summits and challenges are the perfect complement to your summits and are a lower lift strategy to incorporate between your bigger events. So I've seen a lot of people hosting summit after summit because nothing else they've ever done in business compares to the power of a summit. And I love that summits work so well for so many of you, but I also don't want you burning yourself out by going straight from one summit to the next. And especially when you get to the point of knowing you need a break. And I've talked to a few of you who are like, I'm, planning my 10th summit in a row and I really want to take a break this quarter, but I don't know what else to do. I want to give you that other option, right? That's where challenges have come in for me. They give me a break, bringing in 6 figures in revenue per year. And I want that for you too. Whether your number is 6 figures, 5 figures, multiple 6 figures, whatever, that doesn't matter. I want you to have something else to sustain your business. So for those of you who are familiar with our Summit in a Box program, you're inside of it, either in Summit in a Box or in the accelerator. This is very similar to how Summit in a Box is laid out. I'm calling it the younger sibling of Summit in a Box. So it has the step-by-step project plan you can upload into your project planning tool with a timeline attached to it. And then it has the trainings, processes, and templates linked in each task to go along with every step you need to take in the project plan. It's pretty great. Toot my own horn. It's the step-by-step and literally everything you need. Plus, you also get our evergreen challenge strategy too. So you can host your challenge live once, make any tweaks you need, rerun it live within 30 days whenever you want to, but then you also can have it on Evergreen all of the time, which is so nice. And we see when we used to have our challenge on Evergreen, we saw good sales come in from that. So the program walks you through my 6-phase challenge cycle, which includes the phases of plan, create, promote, deliver, launch and wrap up with the copy templates, design templates, video templates, systems, and more. Everything you need to make that happen is included in there. So that's all I want to say about it here. I wanted to give you a quick overview, but if you want to learn more, the best thing to do for now is to head to summitinabox.co/challenge-strategy. That's where you can see the replay of the strategy session I hosted today for the next couple days. And if you are hearing this afterward, we'll make sure that page directs you to your best next step once we figure out what's going to happen afterward. We will probably have a wait list up for a little bit, something like that, but that's where you should go to find out what the best step is for you. So yeah, I hope you guys love it as much as I'm loving it. So I wanted to kind of do a little behind the scenes here as well. You know, a good announcement episode is great, but that's not really my style. So I want to give you some behind the scenes here as well. So this program has been a lot of fun to create, but also a lot of work. And it's funny how something can always seem so easy on the surface, and then you get into it and remember all of what's involved. Kind of like hosting a summit. Like, I have so many people come to me like, oh, no, it doesn't sound that bad. I think I can do it myself. And then they'll come back a few weeks later like, oh, JK, like, can I get that special offer you had a week ago or whatever? No. But this is kind of that situation where I forgot what I was getting myself into. But the way I started, I'm just going to kind of walk you through what my process has looked like for making this program. And I actually started by mapping out the strategy session or the webinar for it, because that's just where my energy was. I had an idea for how I wanted to present the challenge concept and why I should be someone to talk about challenges. I knew I wanted it to be a behind the scenes style training rather than just like doing the whole like busting myths, showing the audience their biggest problems, all that. I wanted it to be fun and engaging and like really give everyone a look at my journey with challenges. So I started by mapping out some of that. I looked back at my last 7 years of challenge topics, strategies, results, numbers, and I didn't like go into details, but I made notes of overall results and themes and takeaways that I wanted to make sure to include in the session. So it was just like a big sloppy notes document. And then I mapped out all of the content because that was feeling stressful to me. I have such a solid process with hosting summits that I was worried that I wouldn't be able to make or like translate my own process into like the same level of clarity I have with summits, but I definitely did. And the good thing about the timing here was that at this time I was actually hosting a challenge of my own. So I was thinking about the content as I was hosting my own challenge, and I was able to, you know, make notes, add extra details to my own project plan as I went. So that was perfect. So I started with mapping out the strategy session, then mapped out the content, and then I went to copy, which for me felt like the biggest hurdle. So I went through, I don't even remember what course it was. I worked through something to figure out the messaging of the course. And I took a stab at the name and tagline, which are not at all the same now. But then I started to write the copy. And I very quickly remembered that that's not my job for a very good reason. I am not a copywriter. I should not be a copywriter. I had no business being in that Google Doc. So previously, one of our employees did all of our copywriting, but things have like shifted with that role over the last year. So I had to find someone new. And really when I was like, okay, guess I can't, you know, do this. It was a no-brainer for me to work with Nadine from Can Do Content. She's amazing. She had pitched me to be on the podcast, and it's like the only pitch that sticks with me. Like, I remember her pitch because it was so good, just so good. And, you know, after that, I checked out her website. I followed her on social media and things like that. So she was like at the top of mind. And when I went to her website to see if, you know, it would be a good fit, it was just a no-brainer. And the process was absolutely amazing. She does audience research, and like she specializes in writing copy and making decisions from the place of looking at audience research. And I'm so glad I worked with her on that whole process, because this program is 100% better because of that, because I heard from well over 100 people exactly what questions they had, what they wanted to learn, what they wanted help with around challenges, what issues they had with challenges and things like that. So not only was the copy great, and not only was it great that I didn't have to do all that work, but the insights she got from everyone were just like so helpful in so many ways. But then after we had all of this brilliant copy written, that's where I got stuck. 4 months and months and months. The copy just sat there and I felt so bad. It's like, oh my gosh, I need to launch this because Nadine wrote all this copy. But then finally, on November 20th, I should have looked up how many months later that was, at least 6 months later. But I had a team member kind of give me a nudge about launching it. And that nudge basically turned into like pushing me down a cliff, because that little bit of encouragement is all it took for me to go all in. So that same day, I chose a date to launch. I mapped out the project plan. I'm using Eden Fried's launch list, which is amazing. And off we went. The biggest things for me were creating the full webinar content and then creating the program content as well. So as far as creating the program content goes, like I knew that I wanted this to resemble Summit in a Box. Like everyone knows me for that level of organization and the top tier resources in a program. And I was not going to do anything different here. I didn't want someone coming in with that level of expectation and being like, what is this crap? And it's also just how my brain works. I couldn't do any less at this point. So I knew that's what I wanted it to look like. But because it's not just training videos like most courses we take, but it's also step-by-step project plans, timeline generators, every template and resource someone would ever need, I knew I couldn't have everything done before the launch. Or it wasn't smart of me to spend that much time making things before I launched. Like it was too risky for me to spend that much time creating content for an unproven offer. So I decided to do, the traditional beta launch situation where like right now, as of launching, we have the first couple modules ready. And assuming all goes well with the launch, the remaining modules will be released over the next couple weeks as, the program is proven, and then I have the time to jump in and finish making things. My team is also really backing me up behind the scenes. So again, the copy was all written months ago by Nadine. Kate took care of all of the tech and logistics. As of recording this, I have someone lined up who will be building out our sales page and Kajabi automations. I'm sure I'll be sharing shout outs about who that was on Instagram stories. So you can ask me there if you're curious. My designer has made the branding, the graphics, slides, all the page designs, and I couldn't have done it without them. Like, goodness, I forgot how much work it is to launch a course. It's a good reminder for me. So as for launch goals, this is like a true beta in that I'm not going to finish making the program if the launch doesn't go well. I don't think that will be a problem. And also I'll be taking a lot of feedback and incorporating that as we go. It's also a part of why I would consider it a true beta. So my first goal is to get people in the door, and I'm hoping for at least 40. So when I look at my email list size and what percentage that would be, it really shouldn't be a problem at all. And I'd be happy with that amount of revenue that it would bring in. So that is my goal to starting out with this beta launch. And then after that, and what feels more important is just making sure everyone feels so well supported and served in there. And I know it's going to be a couple weeks of me hustling really hard to get, the remaining content ready. Hopefully I'll be ahead of things by the time this episode goes out. But I'm going to have forms people can fill out to give me feedback on, where they can point out any issues they find, request any extra trainings and templates they feel like are missing, all that good stuff. And then I'll have time set aside to incorporate all of that to make sure this program really starts out just as good as Summit in a Box is now. So it's all very exciting. I'm so happy to finally be getting it in your hands. And then as for how we're launching, I decided on a webinar format, but really positioned more as a strategy session because, like I said earlier, that's just what felt good to me. I didn't just want to do a traditional webinar where I'm stirring up pain points or anything like that. I want it to be fun and interesting. I have an engaged audience to support a webinar, so that's part of why I'm doing it. It's also just the easiest way for me to test whether it's going to be something people want. And I just feel able to still craft it in a way that feels high value to me, which is usually my biggest issue with a webinar. I did think about launching it with a challenge, but it just felt too meta. And since I don't have the program, or I didn't have the program created yet when I needed to be making those decisions, I just wasn't quite clear on how a challenge would be crafted to lead into the offer well. So maybe we'll do that someday. But to learn more about challenges that make bank, you can head to summitonabox.co/challenge-strategy. And if you're listening to this within the first couple days of it being live, you can watch the replay from the strategy session I mentioned. If you're listening later, we will have something there for you. We won't just leave you hanging if you're ready to jump in and hosting a challenge that makes bank. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For show notes and resources, head to the link in the episode description wherever you're listening. In the next episode, we are going to shift back to talking about virtual summits by covering why getting as many registrations as possible really isn't what matters in your summit planning. So now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your high converting virtual summit or challenge.